Hey everybody, welcome to the 26th edition of SF Indie Fest. Yeah, we've been programming some of the most interesting, cool, and unusual films from around the world for 26 years here in San Francisco. So we're excited for you to be here, whether it be catching the film live in person at the Roxy or virtually online. You just got to see one of the kind of more interesting, cool, and weird films from this year, Darla in Space. And we're lucky enough to have some of the team here. Hey guys, welcome. Can you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Susie, um, writer director of Darla in Space.
I'm Eric LaPlante, also writer. It's just the two of us. We're the co-writer, co-directors of Darla.
Yes.
Well, maybe a good place to kind of jump in is just like, how did you come up with this idea and with it, what was the kind of collaboration like to kind of like push it as far as you did?
Um, it started because Alex, who stars in it as Darla, is Eric's wife. She had come up with the character of Darla Peterson, who runs her Kitty Casket LLC business out of her mom's garage. And that that initial ad that was I guess a collaboration itself between Eric and Alex. Just like I just saw it and was like, this is amazing, and kind of was obsessed immediately. And there followed, I think, just a text riffing for quite some time between Eric and myself about like, what in the world is Darla about? I mean, like the person behind the camera when she's not quote unquote promoting her business. What is she like? What does she have for breakfast? What are her friends like, if she has any?
Yeah, and then at some point, I think we were both, I was making bread, Susie was making kombucha, and we just were like obsessed with yeast at the time. So we were like, what about uh, a yeast that is sentient and can talk to somebody? And then we were like, well, Darla seems like she would be someone that could talk to a sentient yeast mass. And then, what would it look like to give Darla like an impossible problem to solve? How would she go about solving it? And then, I think I don't know how orgasms work their way in, but they
It just seemed
kind
to
of
be a natural
seemed like a natural
conclusion.
extension. Yeah.
So had you guys been had kind of collaborated on other creative projects before, and how does that kind of, I think sometimes people often think of filmmakers in this kind of like solitary, aspect of kind of like this one vision, but seems like you had a great relationship in like regards to riffing off each other and things. So like, yeah, how did that kind of relationship evolve, and how
Yeah.
does that work on set?
Yeah. So we met up 15 years ago, maybe more. Susie was an NYU grad screenwriting program, and I was guest directing at an acting studio. And every semester they do a collaboration where the screenwriters write shorts, and then us directors pick the shorts. And I happened to pick Susie's that year, and we had a great time making the short. And we started writing a lot together. And then there was a large gap of time, and then we started writing more in earnest a bunch of scripts over the last 4 or 5 years. And I think at some point we're like, we can keep writing forever, or we can try and make something that you know that we can pull off ourselves. And we always knew we had Alex as like our ringer, like we could build a movie around her. So we were like, Darla's perfect for this. And we just decided to go for it. Like it was COVID. We were like, we need to figure out how to make something finally. So we just kind of dove in feet first, skipped the short, skipped all the other stuff, and just made the movie.
And when how much of this was scripted, and then like did improv kind of rear its head in the sense of like making it, or like what was the kind of like the filming process like?
Eric and I always invite improv a lot, especially in rehearsals and even on set and things like that. Love it. You kind of never know what's going to come out of an actor, and I just am so I love that part of it. Um,
I would
so
say it's mostly scripted though. Like, I think improv works its
oh yeah,
way
yeah.
in terms of you get like little bonus moments that you would never have imagined. But this kind of movie is pretty scripted. I think if you were to read the script compared to the movie, they're pretty close
Yeah.
to each other.
Very cool. And then what was like, when you meet somebody at like a backyard barbecue, or party with friends, like how would you describe the film to them, and like
Oh, we probably should have started with this question. People are like, "What is this movie?"
I
well
tend to just kind of like get it out in a big rush so that they
Yeah,
don't have time to process
yeah.
it. And then by the time it lands, I'm either there to answer more questions or I'm out of there. Yeah, if they usually have more questions, it's a good sign. So I'm happy to say more.
Yeah, I guess the log line is it's about a woman who is trying to solve a ginormous tax debt with the help of a sentient orgasm granting kombucha mother. Um, and it says, I feel like you're either on board with that log line or you aren't. Like if you're on board with it, you're gonna have a really fun time kind of going on the ride together.
And what now that you guys got this first kind of feature made together, do you guys have some other projects in the works, and are you working together?
Yeah, so we're going to Slam Dance in 2 days with Darla.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited about it, and we hope to kind of between all that festival and all these other festivals build some momentum and find a distribution path for Darla. And then we got a bunch of scripts ready to go if someone would give us some money for it. We got a great geology movie that we'd love to do with a geology professor. We got a supply chain manager's Robert Altman kind of script we would love to do. We got a Viking ghost story that we are working on. We got a lot of
Regency
stuff.
era Scottish movie about, yeah, an early 18th or 19th century
19th century, yes.
huckster. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of eclectic ideas in the great way. Um,
Yeah, I think they all kind of, Darla obviously is a kind of a high concept thing, but it's very grounded in its humor. I think that's kind of the unifying, at least so far in the things we've written. There's always like it's kind of grounded, dry humor in all of our scripts.
one of the things I think is always great for film festivals is obviously just kind of reaching, audiences that just like new, unusual, and just different things. But also, there's a lot of kind of like up and coming filmmakers that come and watch these films, for inspiration, and just see what other people are doing. And so, like for folks that are maybe like you at one point in time, who had all these kind of ideas gestating them, was like, what's the thing of like in getting this kind of film to the finish line that you know you think people should kind of keep in mind, or words of wisdom, or any humorous war stories from the from making the film?
That's a great question. I think, when you're deciding to make something and you want to make it on your own, I think the important thing to remember is like, remember the resources you have around you. Like trying to make a Hollywood movie without a Hollywood budget, I think is always going to be a hard thing to pull off. But if you can kind of stay true to the resources you have around you, you can kind of, you know, re lean into those people that can help you do things. And, don't be afraid if it's a little kind of low rent looking, so to speak. It's like that's part of like the charm of, I think a lot of people that make low budget movies, there's a great enjoyment of like kind of a knowing that that has like this handmade quality to it.
I'd say too, like start with a really strong script, believe in it, believe in your characters. I personally and Eric too, we generally start from character and do a lot of character work before even word one gets written. That means that we have a lot of faith in the written product, the blueprint, like before you even begin. So once you've kind of identified the people in your group that might be willing to cast or crew or whatever it is, you share the script, and if they vibe with it, they will be so committed to your project.
Yeah, characters go a long way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's interesting how you guys shared earlier in the Q&A of just like, it started with this idea of a character, and like how she saw the world, and so like everything kind of came from the genesis of this character you defined. And so I think that's seen on screen. And just, thanks again for putting together a really terrific movie. And it was just kind of, it seems so appropriate to be able to share here in San Francisco.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be there.
Take care, guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.